Hey everybody, it's Tamara Blodgett, and I just want to say thank you for subscribing and watching. I am trying my YouTube again. If you are some of the unlucky 2,000 subscribers I had before that followed me for my audiobook uploads for free, I'm really sorry about what happened. YouTube objected to the sexual content within some of the books. They're actually primarily dark thriller, but there is some sexual content in them, but it wasn't for gratuitous purposes as alleged. And I just didn't want to bother with it. I'm not going to scrub my literature so that YouTube can stop clutching their pearls and stuff. So now I'm starting a brand new channel. If you do want to see my audiobooks and listen to them for free, you can go to Rumble, and that link can just be clicked right from my YouTube banner. I have my Rumble and my Clapper and my Amazon where you can buy my books. So don't worry about that. I have an alternative thing for you guys to try. Anyway, this is going to be all about an over 50, I'm 55 and a half year old woman who's height weight proportionate and stays that way without starving. And I think that's the primary reason that women would be watching me, though that was not the primary reason why I began my zero carb journey. First, I became keto in, I actually know the date, July 15th, 2017. And I became keto and I was happy with it. I started feeling better. I started sleeping better. Everything started working for me better. And I think part of that was because the quality of my food consumption rose and I stopped having a lot of processed things and I stopped having the most objectionable foods. Sugar and gluten and things like that. However, things weren't quite right. My thyroid numbers began to drop and get better because I do suffer from Hashimoto's. I also have IBS-C, which is different than the inflammatory IBS where people have explosive diarrhea and every little time they eat anything, they have to rush to the bathroom. I don't have that. I have the opposite problem. And it's just about as bad as you can imagine. And Hashimoto's is behind that, of course. And then, as you can see, my skin is kind of trashy. I have rosacea that came on when I started to go into menopause. I'm very late on menopause. I've only technically been in menopause most recently. I think this last September, I was technically in menopause right after my 55th birthday. I am not taking any medications. Sometimes I take an Excedrin if I've had too much to drink. It's not really a joke, but it is. Anyway, what else is a problem? I have hot spots on my scalp. I have my inner ears and around my ears get inflamed. They get crusty. They get mad. If I have anything from the plant kingdom, I just almost can't. I get scaly, pink, psoriasis, eczema type stuff on my jawline and by my ears and on my face if I have the plant kingdom. And I didn't know that at first. So after about 3 years of pretty strict keto, I decided to try this carnivore thing because there was a gal on Facebook when I was still on Facebook. I no longer am. And she told me I have Hashimoto's too, she says, and I didn't find that I was able to regulate my hormones and thereby my Hashimoto's numbers to be in the normal range until I gave up everything in the plant kingdom. And of course, I started delving into that because I wanted very badly to not have to take Synthroid, which is the thyroid augment supplement for people that don't produce enough thyroid. So I went ahead and I started doing that. And within about 3 or 4 months, my thyroid numbers were down sub 5. And nowadays, the normal number for thyroid, the norm range is 0.04 to 4.0. In those days, just briefly, just 2-3 years ago, it was actually 0.05 to 5.0, and I maintain that. Autoimmune runs in our family really strongly, and so I was like, you know what? I can't mess around with this. My mom had rheumatoid arthritis. I have Hashimoto's. They're autoimmune. They're very related, and I live in terror of getting rheumatoid arthritis because my mom was never well. She came down with it when I was 18 months old. She was about 40. And I never knew her as a well person that could move normally and that wouldn't be stoved up, as she used to call it, until noon. I used to get her aspirin and milk back in the day when I was very little. because they didn't have any effective treatment against it. Well, now I know what would have helped it, but I didn't know at that time. So what do I know? Well, I don't know everything, but when I become passionate about something, I become obsessed about learning more about it. And I want to pass on the information I've gleaned through that obsession to you guys, especially for people over 50, because I think that we get over 50, we feel like we have to throw in the towel. We're like, okay, youth preserved us through these years. We looked really good because we were young. Well, I mean, I don't look perfect or anything, but I look good for my age. And I really feel like carnivore is helping with that. Now, skin issues appear to be the most difficult to rectify. And that's why my name is the Cheating Carnivore. Every day now, because I'm accountable and I have this channel, I'm going to not cheat. Just that day. It's almost like Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm just going to say to myself, today I won't cheat. Also, well, what I did find out when I tried this, I know I'm circling around, guys. I'm very scattered. I'm like a squirrel. When I discovered carnivore and I started doing it, I wish I had known the things I know now. Whereas I don't have to force feed myself fat. I can just have the proper food, and that will be enough for me to get what I need. Now, having said that, there's the thing called bio-individuality. And that means we're all human beings, but we're all a little bit different in our needs. So I tried the carnivore diet, and I had some success. But what I noticed is I was trying to gain, because I've been a very neurotic, restrictive eater my whole life. That's how I stayed thin. You know, I'd get a little out of bounds. I cut back on what I ate, and I'd exercise more before I realized that calories in, calories out doesn't work. And there's a lot of scientific research from, non-profiting entities that can prove all that and stuff. For me, I decided in September of 21, I would do the steak challenge. I just wanted to see what would happen if I just went down to beef, salt, and water. No dairy, no alcohol, no nothing. And what I found was that within a couple weeks, my body kind of regulated to tell me how hungry it was. I'd have my black coffee in the morning, which I used to just douse with cream. I mean, 6 tablespoons of cream and a whole cup of the whipped cream from the aerosol can, sugar-free, of course. That was my normal every day. And so when I gave that up, I was having black coffee in the morning when we get up at, 5:30 or 6. And then I would go no cream. And then about 9:30 or 10, I was pretty hungry. And so I would have either 2 chuck Angus ground beef patties you can get at Costco, and I think they're a 75-25 lean to fat ratio, and those were quite good. And I have 2 of those, and then I'd have a 3 tablespoon bacon grease dollop on the side because I knew I needed the fat. I knew that much, and I was tracking everything on my carb manager tracker because I just wanted to know. It was almost like scientific, right? And then that night I would get hungry around 5. And at that time, Hubs wasn't building our house. And we were living in a townhouse in South Dakota. And so he was doing all the cooking. And he'd make up either burgers or steaks or pot roast or whatever. And Mom would come over and the 3 of us would eat. And I would eat until I was comfortably full, but not stuffed. Because I was no longer fasting. I wasn't goofing around. I just wanted to see how much I ate every day. And how that worked. Well, I lost just shy 5 pounds in 32 days. I considered that to be quite good. So I think my ending weight was something around 140, 154 and a half, 155, right in there. I'm 5'10". In high school, I weighed between 145 and 150 very consistently because I was young and it didn't matter. And I didn't think about what I was eating. I just ate whatever was around that I felt like. Like the rest of us, right? But now I'm at an age where I don't have any of that forgiveness. And my body is tired from the things I've done to it, from the restriction, from the fasting, from the wrong foods. I obviously have a familial propensity to have autoimmune issues. My sister's been on thyroid since she's 22, so basically 51 years now. She's quite a bit older than me. My folks had her when they were quite young, and then they had me when they were almost 40. So there's a huge difference there. Right now, just to explain a few things, we've moved. We're now in the northwest corner of Washington State. Hubs was a custom home builder for many years back in the 90s and early 2000s. And he's using that skill set right now to build a house for Mom and he and I to live in part of the year, because the other part of the year we live in Mazatlan, Mexico. We've had a split lifestyle now. This, I think 16 seasons is what we've done, where we've lived down there part-time. And so he's out building the house right now, and he's already built the shop, and the RV is in the middle of the shop. So it's super dark in here. And since I'm a real lazy thing and I don't want to exercise, I force myself to go out every single day in the fresh air, in the sunlight, and take an hour walk, just so that my body and my spirit and my mind get to be out with the earth for a little while, rather than get depressed in here. Now, he did buy me a therapy light, but and that's nice. It has made a difference. But Hashimoto's people don't uptake vitamin D very well, so I do have to supplement with that. So that's my one supplement. And I will be getting my blood work numbers done again when I return to Mazatlan. I was very unhappy with my triglycerides last year. I think it's because what happened is that I had alcohol too close to the time that I was tested, and it skewed all the numbers. And so this time I got to be not so much of a little partier and and just go in there and do that. And I just really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. I'm not going to put down any of the young people that are getting after the carnivore diet and the zero carb way of life. I passionately believe in this way of eating, this woe. But I think it's so much simpler under 40 to get good results from any way you eat, if you're trying to go for something that's unprocessed and it promotes health rather than anything else. And that's where I'm at this stage. But if you're over 50 or even over 40, 45, if somebody's looking good at that age, they're doing something to look good. It's not a natural thing. Okay. It just isn't. You're either, and I would have said before, I would have said, oh, it's because, they're starving and exercising. Because I used to do that. I'd think nothing of having a light breakfast and a medium-sized lunch and having the smallest portion of dinner you could ever imagine. And then I exercised every day, and I was like, this is my lot. This is my lot as a human being. If I want to look thin and good, I have to eat less food and I have to exercise more. And that's depressing. And I did get depressed over it. And then I started my full-time job, and it became extremely challenging. And I thought to myself on several occasions, I was like, wow, I had some flexibility as a stay-at-home mom. I could fit in the exercise when I needed to. I was in control of the cooking. I was in control of how much I ate. I was basically in control. And then I got to a certain age, I started working, 60, 70 hours a week when the kids were older. Some of them were gone at that stage. And I decided that something had to give, and it wasn't going to be the quality of my work for my job. And I instantly put on 20 pounds because I stopped restricting as much, because I seemed to feel like I needed more food for fuel to do my work. Okay, that was one thing. And the second thing was that I didn't simply have the time to go down to the gym in Soldovia, Alaska, where we were living at the time. And so I ended up gaining up to, I think I was like 172 at my highest. And people would probably say, well, that's not that bad. You're 5'10". Well, when you've been height weight proportionate to thin your whole life, I noticed it everywhere. My rings didn't fit as well. I started having chubby knees. My face was chubby, and not in a good way. Not that puffed out, I'm younger look, just I'm puffed out, And so that spurred me on to try keto and everything like that. But it wasn't until I started fasting and doing keto at the same time I had a measure of success. So I'm going back to the steak challenge. I'm using up the cream that I've got. This, you can't really see it. It's kind of black with just some of the foamy aerosol can cream on the top, right? And I'm going to continue to have coffee. I don't know if that'll be forever. It's been a ritual I've really liked in my life. Having coffee is a big thing. But the one thing that was stationary for that month when I did the steak challenge, I was already into carnivore 18 months at that stage, but I had been actually putting on about a pound every other month or so. And I just felt like I was, obviously 2 + 2 is 4. If it's a fat burning diet, and I'm consuming too much dietary fat, my body is not pressed into service to use any fat from itself because it's getting plenty in the food. So I realized that I needed to calm down on the cream, or I that was my supposition. And so for that month, I just ate the burger patties and the steaks and the bacon grease. And what I discovered was that my body metabolizes animal fat off the animal better than it does animal fat from inside the animal, because cream is basically meat, which is a byproduct of the animal, but it's not something from the animal's body. It's from something from within. And I've done a few experiments with that. And for me, bacon grease really works well. And cream and milk, not so well, as far as me metabolizing, regularity, weight loss. It's a staller. And you hear that a lot from other people. What I'm hoping for is twofold. Giving up my delicious cream better be worth it. Now, I want to talk about how I've just begun this, and I'm not fully off cream yet. So today is March 15th, and I will be done with the canned cream probably by the April 1st time frame. However, I will have dumped 6 tablespoons or omitted 6 tablespoons from my daily, and we'll see how that works, because I do think I'm going to have to, in order to make the scale number go down but still get the benefits of being carnivore, I'm going to have to take back that fat intake. Okay, which is tough. But when I go to maintain my weight, eventually, maybe if I want to, I'll add some of that back in. But I'm starting to wonder if the dairy isn't just a problem out of hand. I'm gonna try that, and I'm gonna catalog my progress here. I'm gonna try to take one long video a month, and then if you guys watch shorts, I'll be putting up a short every day of what I'm eating, and sometimes I'll put up my outfit of the day too. Now, I want to address that. And this is no diss on the girls that wear 10 pounds of makeup and use filters and shaping apps and have every single thing perfect in their home and their life and what they show you. There's a lot of those influencers around. I don't have that kind of latitude. I'm living in my trailer. It's a disaster. I have no counter space. I have no floor space. I have no space. Hubs and I have things in our trailer we would never have otherwise if it weren't for the fact that we're living in it while waiting to have our house built. Our household goods are stacked up next to the trailer. Our lumber's stacked on the other side of the trailer. Hubs is out there at 7 in the morning at 30-degree weather trying to figure out what he can do that day. He's got one wall framed, ready to be lifted. He's got guys coming in to do concrete, patio pours on Thursday. It is saucy as F. Okay? So you're not going to get that from me. I'm not going to have a trailer that looks good. I do all my dishes by hand wash. It is a lot. I do have a full-time job. Currently I'm writing a book, and I'll be into edits in April for that book. And I'm also ghostwriting another book. And then I do my foreign translation formats every day for a couple of hours as well. So I'm super busy. And then when I can, I fit in, ads, and I fit in, trying to redo my paperbacks. Anyway, I'm a one-woman show, like a lot of people are. And then I'm just passionate about carnivore and zero carb in such a way that I felt compelled to do a channel. I also have Rumble for my free audiobooks because, as I mentioned earlier, YouTube banned my former channel. And just in one day, I lost everything. All my subs, all my personal subscriptions, all my music I used up for my playlist, for my books while I was writing. It was really a scene. And instead of just crying in my Wheaties and weeping and gnashing my teeth and getting pissed, I just went ahead and said, I'll do another channel. And people that are passionate about being the boss of their own health, or they want to lose weight without working out and without starving, will be interested in my comments. Also, as the cheating carnivore, that name implies, and it's completely accurate, it implies that I am not doing everything by the book. I'm not. I'm not on the lion diet, and I appreciate people that need to be, like Michaela Peterson and Jordan Peterson. They have beef, lamb, salt, and water, and that's all they have, and they've been on it for years, and it really helps them. I'm trying to see what I can get away with. It's a restrictive diet. These carnivores out there that are saying it's simple, you won't have cravings, all this stuff, I'm sure a lot of that's true. But the thing is that all of us have the mental and emotional framework point of reference to how we used to eat before and how eating was done. It was done in such a way where it was part of our social network. too. We'd get together with friends, we'd have coffee, we'd have cocktails, we'd have fun foods and stuff like that. I will admit the cravings do go away, and I could make a really deliberate choice. If I continue to be strict like this till my birthday in July, I would normally go off the rails, and I would have like, low carb pumpkin cake, and I would have French fries and all that stuff. And at this stage, I can say right now that I'm not going to crave any of that. I'll have to just say, I want to celebrate. I'm going to have that stuff. That's how it would be. It wouldn't be because, oh, I can't wait to have fries. It's not like that. The body really shuts down the craving thing. It really does. It's impossible to imagine until you're here in this spot. I would never lie, though. Lying's for clever people. And I look at myself as just a normal girl that's 55 and a half that wants to share every secret about how to get thin and how to feel well, and not necessarily in that order with you guys. Now, what's really important about this? I want to tell you the good stuff I've noticed now. I didn't mean to keep it till the end of the video, but there was so many, preface stuff I had to go through, right? I want to just reiterate. I'm on Clapper, which is an alternative to TikTok, because I don't want China-owned TikTok having their nose wedged up my butt. Okay? My buttocks. I don't like that. I'm on Rumble with my free audiobooks and also some of my suppositions that may be controversial. I keep those on Rumble. And I'm here. And this is only going to be about my carnivore zero carb journey. And I've been on the ketogenic path since July 15th of 2017. So I'm not new to this style of eating. I want to talk about the benefits. Are you in menopause? If you are, when I began eating real clean carnivore last May 1st, within 3 or 4 months, I no longer had hot flashes. I no longer had night sweats. And if you've had a night sweat, it's the most debilitating mofo you can experience. You soak the sheets, you wreck your husband's sleep, you wreck your own sleep, you got to put a towel down, you got to lie on the towel. The next day, you got to change the sheets because we have so much time to do those dumb things. Those are gone. Once in a while, I'll get, like a couple times a week, I'll get a little, like, 30-second thing where I get kind of warmer than I normally am, but it's not that blowtorch, boom, steep hill thing that it used to be. It's this little gradual nothing. I have a couple of those, maybe 3 or 4 times a week I have something like that. What it was before was every hour, almost on the hour, blowtorch 45 seconds. Then I was having night sweats a couple times a week because that other was so fun. That's gone now. Could I have lived through it? Sure. What does it mean? It means that somehow there's a hormone regulation that happens as a consequence of eating carnivore. It's supposed to regulate your hormones. It wasn't instant for me. I had a lot of boxes of health I wanted to tick off. And so May 1st, I got sick of it all and I went carnivore. I instantly gained 3 or 4 pounds. I was kind of overeating, but I found myself being kind of ravenous. And I kept telling myself, nope, we're going to nourish our body. We're going to nourish our body. That's what we're going to do. And then I got to a point where I was kind of tired of the weight. And so I started doing my fasting. I'd like to get to a point where I don't have to fast. And I have that month of September and early October, 33-day steak challenge I did, where I saw definitively that if I just got rid of all the dairy, that I could then just have whatever food I needed without starving. And I wasn't doing any big exercise plan. I wasn't walking or anything in those days. I wasn't doing anything. And still, I was able to lose 5 pounds. Now, that's one benefit. So, but it's big. Hormone regulation happens during a woman's lifetime. I mean, if I had been infertile, I would suppose that would help fertility as well, the carnivore way of eating. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing is how great I feel after I eat. I don't have any stomach disquiet. I don't have bowel disquiet and bowel pain. You know, if I have, for instance, I love these keto clusters they have at Costco in the orange pack. You know, they've got like almonds and pecans and pumpkin seeds and stuff, and they're like, 4 carbs for like a cup. It's a really generous thing, and it's super tasting. Coconut, all this stuff. I have such bowel pain, really down low. About within a half an hour of eating that, my body says, whatever you're doing, Don't do it again, because this is what you get. I mean, the entire day I felt so gross. I don't have that after steak, ground beef, eggs, chicken, pork, any of that stuff. Cream, butter, you name it. If it's not from the plant kingdom, I'm not having that kind of reaction. I can't even have lettuce at this stage. I get bloaty. I look like I'm pregnant. It's just bad. I like having the relatively flat stomach that carnivore has provided for me. That's another thing I like. Cellulite. Let's talk about that. I don't have a gargantuan amount, but I have some on my lower buttocks. I just love that word right now. I'm not sure why that is. It's kind of dorky, but whatever. And it was trying to start creeping down my thighs. And carnivore took a lot of that away. How much? 60% at least. I'm hoping that as I start to become more efficient with burning fat by not giving my body as much fat in the form of cream, that'll happen even more, because they say that supposedly the only time your cellulite can get small and disappear and be completely consumed by your body is while you're nursing. And I did a lot of that, right? But I don't have youth protecting the collagen fibers and the tightness of my skin anymore, so I need something to help with that. And that's something I'm using now is going to be, the carnivore way. And I'll probably get a bikini bottom and start taking shots of my rear end. So you guys can have like a process of how that's getting better. And know that I walk an hour a day whenever I can, which means 5-6 days a week. So there is that in play. But I think that's more being in motion, getting a little bit of cardio, and maybe some very small toning in the legs. I'm pretty much doing it just to get outside and get fresh air and stuff. And stay in motion, keep my joints moving, because I don't think we're meant to just sit around on our butts all day. I don't think the human body's meant for that. I don't. And I'm a big sloth. I'm a big lazy thing now, because I used to work out religiously for years and years and years. I didn't stop doing that ritual till I was like 46, and I'd been doing it since 17. So I don't want to return. I don't want to revisit that level of intensity. But I would like to have some level of intensity. And you know what? I'm feeling well enough now that it doesn't overwhelm me mentally. And that's another thing. So you have to start baby steps. Don't look at it that you're going to be on carnivore for the rest of your life. Give it 30 days and give it true stuff. I've talked to this gal. She's got anemia. She's older. She's got weakness, all these problems. I said, do this. I explained it to her in great detail. And so she's running around telling all her friends, oh, I did it for 3 weeks or a month. It didn't help at all. Well, she was cheating the whole time. All she did was start eating red meat, but kept up her SAD diet, standard American diet stuff. So she was still having all the carbs and the BS. All she did was add the red meat. She had to exclude the other to get the full conceptual benefit of carnivore. And that's what you're going to have to do. Can't you do anything for a month? If I can do it, anybody can, because I'm a lazy thing. I really am. What are the other benefits? Nails and hair. My hair no longer falls out the way it used to. It's thickened. It's shiny. My nails are terrific. All that stuff was already quite good. Now it's just excellent. I notice a huge difference with my vitality. My skin is still trash. I think that I'm going to have to be extremely strict, get rid of the dairy, and go like 90 days. No dairy, nothing but like mainly ruminant meat and salt and maybe bacon or something like that. I think I'm going to really abstain from that because I want this trash rosacea cleared up. I also have ocular rosacea. And that all came on because it was menopause related. About October of 21, I got a sty on my eye and I was like, what is this? And then it worked into this mess for my skin. And right now I'm using jojoba oil. I don't know how it's pronounced anyway. I should probably look it up on the internet. But I got a big one of those off of Costco. And I'm using that on my face right now because I no longer make sebaceous oils as I did when I was a young woman. My skin was horribly chaffed and dried too, and I just was such a slow learner figuring that out. So now I'm using it, but I'm still getting hormonal breakouts. I'm still getting rosacea stuff. My ears are clearing up finally after, almost a month with only one splurge of the keto clusters when I was with my daughter-in-law. We were having, a little fun. And so that's what I thought I could have. I was miserable the next day. I don't advise that. So cheating has become something that I don't even want to do because I feel so bad after I cheat that it's pretty much not worth it. I'd rather just, if I feel like I'm going to be with people that are going to be having things that normally excite me, that I want to have, I have a lot of food beforehand of the right kind, and I go and I'm not hungry, and I can just watch them eat whatever they have, whatever they order, and I'll have whatever. But I still have a ways to go. But the cheating carnivore is here to stay. And I just want to say how much I appreciate you subscribing and liking my videos and offer me your support. And I hope I can inspire anyone, obviously, but especially women that are over 50 that have decided that it's the frump years. They're closing up shop. They can't look sexy. They can't look cute. They can't feel good about themselves because those youthful years are done. What about the other 30 or 40 years we might have? Don't those matter? I think they do. I have not changed mentally my framework of being sexy, wanting to be sexual, wanting to please my husband, wanting to please myself, wanting to have a normal life, not wanting to think about food every day. I just know that I get hungry, I make this thing, and I eat. I actually like the simplified diet of carnivore, and you might find that you do as well. Thanks for watching. And please subscribe to my channel and like my videos. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comments if any of this resonates with you. You know my health issues are lengthy, but you might have something smaller or bigger to work on. So let's work on it together. Love ya.